Break out of the chaos.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Phone at the station.
Hello and welcome to week 11 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Here's hoping that all is well with you and yours in this world this day as we start yet another week. Coach, in recent weeks we have had some real heavy hitters in the world of sports as guests on the show. Today we have an individual that's not only a heavy hitter, but is integrally entwined in the history of the game that we all love so very much, the national pastime of baseball, and a monumental shift that's occurring. If you would be so kind as to introduce to your audience the guest for segment 1.
Today, Clarence, we have Bob Kendrick, who is the president of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, Missouri, as Buck O'Neill used to say. And I tell you, Bob, you've been associated with this organization since 1998. Can you talk a little about this? You've done a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you know I am, Coach. And first and foremost, guys, thanks so much for having me on the show. And, you know, it has been truly a blessing for me to do this work. And Coach, for me, it actually goes back to 1993 as a volunteer. I started volunteering with the museum in 93, but you're right, I started working for the museum in 1998. And guys, it has been a labor of love the entire time. You know, Coach, they paid me to work with Buck O'Neill. Now, I would have done it for free. Now, don't get me wrong. They paid me like I was playing in the Negro League, but that's okay.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty good. Well, you know, I knew Buck personally, so I know what the pleasure and joy was of you working with him because you got to hear great stories.
All the time. And, you know, and I tell people all the time, the smartest thing I ever did was I kept my mouth closed and listened. You know, because, and now, Coach, I get to share those same stories. And every time I share one of his stories, I feel as if I am keeping him alive in my mind and in my heart. And we don't ever want these stories to die. We really don't. And so I get to do that, and obviously the work that we've committed ourselves to with building this museum so that the legacy of the Negro Leagues will play on long after there are no more Negro Leaguers left to attest to what this league was all about.
Well, I've been to the museum, and I know what it must feel to work there on a daily basis because I'm sure the memory talks to you when you're walking through the museum. They're speaking to you loud and clear when you look at all of the artifacts and the memories that you all have been able to preserve to keep this dream and the great history alive.
There's no question. There's no question. Every day that I walk into this building, you just feel good. You really do. Because I know, and I think my entire team here at the museum understands and embraces, Coach, that we are doing something that is bigger than we are. And so if we do this right, if we are able to build this museum so that it is able to operate into perpetuity, that others will get to enjoy this years after we're all gone. And so we have an opportunity to leave a legacy. And man, if these walls could talk, you know,
Yeah.
if these walls could talk. And you've been on that field with the statues.
Yes.
And you know how lifelike those statues are. And the display, folks, that I'm talking about is what we call the Field of Legends. And it features 10 life-size bronze statues of Negro League greats, and they're all cast in position as if they were playing a game. And they're based on the height, weight, data information that we had on each of the players, and they represent the first group of Negro Leaguers to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. And these statues are amazing. I'll never forget, Coach, my good friend, the great Ozzie Smith, the Wizard. When he came here when we had our grand opening in 1998 of the new museum, 1997, I'm sorry, of the new museum. And he walked out on that field. And Coach, he said it was the eeriest feeling he ever got in his life. And he was moved to tears because he knew that he had stood on the shoulders of those immortal giants, those people who built the bridge so that he could fashion what became a Hall of Fame career. He could become the Wizard. And he knew that it would not have happened without them. And it hit him. And I have no doubt that when the dust settles, the lights go off here, I suspect they start throwing that ball around the horn.
I'm sure they do. You know, I had the pleasure also when I first visited back in, it must have been 99, when you all brought back the 360 final living players who played in the league and was sponsored by Coors. And you had the great like Hank Aaron, Tommy Lasorda, Double Duty. They were all there. Double Duty was 98 at the time, I think. And it was amazing. It was amazing to be in that among all of those living legends and hearing the story. I remember I had to do some convincing to my wife to let me go. I said, I gotta go. This ain't gonna happen again. I said, it's never gonna happen again because they're bringing in the remaining 360 living players who played in the Negro League. Every year we were losing them, so I got to go and I really had a great time.
Yeah, no, it was one of those memorable moments for me, you know, of so many memorable moments that we've had here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And you mentioned Henry Aaron, and, you know, I'm still hurt. There's still a little piece of my heart that's hurt over his passing. He was so important to this museum. He was such a dear, you know, he was my childhood idol.
Yes.
My all-time favorite baseball player. And I grew up, Coach, in Georgia.
Crawford, Georgia, Crossville, Georgia.
Yeah. And so, you know, to have the opportunity to spend time with my childhood idol is something that means the world to me. And, you know, like everybody else in the baseball world, we're all sad over his passing, you know, even though he left us so much. He really did. But, you know, Henry Aaron was also one of those contemporary players who came out of the Negro League.
Yes.
And in many ways, Coach, he helped validate how much talent was there in the Negro League.
There you go.
I think sometimes people are skeptical.
Yeah.
They hear me tell these stories of Josh Gibson and Cool Papa and Satchel and Boo June Wilson and Leon Day and all these other legendary stars from the Negro League, but I think they kind of look at me with, you know, kind of a side eye like, well, they were probably good, but I don't know if they're as good as you say they were. And then you see an 18-year-old Henry Aaron standing at the train station in Mobile, Alabama, about to go join the Indianapolis Clowns. And, Coach, he couldn't have weighed more than 150 pounds. He was a skinny, cross-handed, hitting shortstop. So Henry Aaron was hitting with a right hand, hitting with his left hand.
Right.
And as you know, that's unorthodox. The fear is you break your wrist hitting Henry Aaron was knocking the cover off the baseball in a highly unorthodox fashion. And when they got to the crowd, when he got to the crowd, they reluctantly put the right hand on top because they didn't want to tinker with this kid's face. But they put the right hand on top, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. And the thing is, he had $2 in his pocket. All his mother had. She said, son, make it last. Yeah.
But it worked out pretty well for the Hammer.
Well, you know, we've got one more thing I wanted to talk to you before I turn it over to my sidekick, Clarence. Something beautiful just happened to you and the Negro League with Major League Baseball. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, back in December 16th, actually, Major League Baseball announced that it was recognizing the Negro Leagues for just what we already knew it to be, a major league. And it was truly a historical recognition. In some ways, Coach, it was atonement. It was acknowledgement of what these leagues represented both on and off the field. And most baseball fans weren't aware that baseball had put together a commission back in the 1960s, late 1960s, 68, 69, that was going to kind of examine and look at all these other leagues that had coincided while the major leagues were in existence, the Federal League and these other different leagues, but they had blatantly dismissed the Negro League. Mm-hmm. And so Commissioner Manfred essentially righted a wrong. And now they're going to integrate the statistics of the Negro Leagues into the annals of Major League Baseball history. And so this is literally rewriting the pages of American history books, because now you're going to see these Negro League stars. You know, Josh Gibson's epic 1943 season, Coach, where he hit 441.
Wow. Wow.
He hit 441. That will now be the single season all-time batting record.
Really?
And now the last 400 hitter forever was Ted Williams.
Ted Williams, 406.
Now it'll be Artie Wilson.
Yes.
Artie Wilson hit 402 for the Birmingham Black Barons in 1948. And so we'll see those kinds of things now integrated into the history books. You know, the Kansas City Monarchs will now be recognized as the first to play a night game. They started night baseball 5 years before they ever played a night game in the major leagues. So, yeah, it is groundbreaking. It's historical. You know, the Negro League players and surviving family members, they're all excited about this recognition of their loved ones, and so are we. You know, we're very honored. And it wasn't that those players were ever seeking validation. They didn't need to be validated. They knew how good they were.
That's right.
They knew how good their league was. And quite frankly, guys, the major leaguers knew how good they were. But it is that historical recognition that makes this so significant.
That's right.
That particular recognition, Bob, we're talking from a layperson's point of view, that had to be a massive logistical undertaking. What was it like trying to dig up all of these records, verify all these old records, transpose it into modern day records? Logistically, that had to be monumental, was it not?
Oh, it was, and I applaud the historians and researchers who have dedicated themselves to bringing forth that statistical data. You know, our sport relies on stats more than any other sport.
Oh, yeah.
This is a game of numbers, and that was always kind of held against the Negro League, that, well, the stats weren't as readily available. And these folks, you know, I won't say that it was a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But it damn near was. And they've done an extraordinary job of compiling these numbers. And for me, guys, the numbers are still more contextual. They help contextualize this, because as much effort as they put in, you can rest assured there's still other data out there that may not be accounted for. And I'm still hopeful that, you know, they cut this off from 1920 until 1948.
Right.
I'm still hopeful that this will move into the early 50s, at least up to 1955. Because if it does, then that will include the likes of Henry Aaron and Ernie Banks and guys like that, where their numbers can now be integrated into the major league numbers. And it could possibly give Henry Aaron somewhere between 8 and 10 more home runs. And those 3 months that he played for the Clowns, he only hit 467.
Oh my goodness! Only?
Bob, the fact that Major League Baseball did something that, in the grand scheme of things, they didn't have to do,
Exactly.
says what to you, Bob?
It says that Commissioner Manfred came from a great place. You know, and he took a lot of heat on this decision. There were some of the baseball purists who did not like this. And you're right, baseball did not have to do anything. Like I said, most of us didn't even know about that commission. So unless you are kind of a deep-bedded historian as it relates to Major League Baseball, you didn't even know this had occurred. And so they didn't have to do anything, and yet Commissioner Manfred did what others could have done, but didn't do. And, you know, as I've said, and I know you guys have heard this on many occasions, it's always the right time to do the right thing.
Yep.
Yes.
And this was the right thing to do. And, you know, anytime Major League Baseball does something, though, they're so big, and everybody always believes that there's an ulterior motive, you know, as it relates to baseball. But
Right.
I think they came from a great place here, and they were just trying to do the right thing. And the Negro Leagues should have been recognized. No league has had more impact on our game than Negro League Baseball. They were impacting Major League Baseball even before the integration of the game, because they were playing in many Major League stadiums, guys, and they were outdrawing the Major League teams that had those stadiums. They're filling up their ballparks. And those teams were getting a percentage of the gate and likely all of the concessions. So they were having financial success off the sweat equity of the Negro League. And then when you look at the integration of the game and coach that pipeline of great talent that moved into the major leagues from 1947 up until about 1960, Major League Baseball saw its largest influx of talent in any one time span in the history of this sport. And the more majority of those players came from the Negro Leagues, this league that was somehow considered less than. And it changed the game. It really did. And so it was right that it would be formally recognized as a major league, because that's exactly what it was.
Bob, Coach and I have both bemoaned over the years the fact that baseball, the game of, is no longer as integral a part of the African community as it once was. How far do you think this gesture can go in reinvigorating the game of baseball in the African American community?
Well, I think it does play a role. I think the work that we do here with the Negro League Baseball Museum plays a role. And again, I applaud the fact that Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball's Players Association understand that there is a gap here that needs to be filled. And they're putting in the programs. And now the newly formed Players Alliance, a group of black current major leaguers who are getting together to become visible and help continue to promote this game. But when I look at it from the role of the museum, from a historical perspective, I want our kids to walk into a place where they see folks who look just like them, who played this game, guys, as well as anyone ever played this game.
Yep.
But not only did they play the game, they owned teams. They were managers, coaches, traveling secretaries, team physicians. They fulfilled every role that you could fulfill in this game. And Coach, you know, our sport is perhaps more aspirational than any of the other sports. You need to see yourself in this game to start to dream about being what you see. And what we had, guys, when the Negro Leagues were in existence, our children saw these athletes every single day.
Yes.
It didn't make any difference how much money Buck O'Neal made or Satchel Paige made. They lived in the same neighborhood that I lived in. And so I didn't just idolize them for who I saw on the field. I idolized them as men because I saw them operate and conduct themselves as men every single day in my neighborhood. You know, our kids need to see these kinds of images so that they can dream of the possibility of playing this game. And I obviously am biased, but I think our sport needs us. This sport needs us. We bring another dimension to this game. And I was hearing something that C.C. Sabathia said the other day when he was playing one year with the Milwaukee Brewers, and he said there were 8 brothers on that team, and he said he never had more fun playing the game ever. and they were great, you know. And, you know, so we do bring something to this sport that, you know, we want our kids to play this game. We want all kids to play this game. But we want to make sure that it's available in our community, that every child has an opportunity to fall in love and be nurtured in this great sport.
Well, Bob, they're trying to do that. Major League Baseball had a misstep in the 70s and 80s where they didn't promote baseball in the African community the way they should have. And we missed out on all of those great athletes who went to basketball and baseball. Yep. They didn't do a good job of selling that product. And we live in a nation where you have to sell your product.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, Coach, the thing that we love about baseball is its tradition.
Yes.
The thing that has hurt baseball is its tradition.
Yes.
You know, it has to be better at marketing its stars.
Yes.
They can take a page from the Negro League. The Negro Leagues were never afraid to market its stars.
That's right.
No, it was Satchel Paige and the Kansas City Monarchs. Rube Foster's Chicago American Giants. And Coach Rube Foster was standing on the corner of 18th and Vine and with a megaphone. And everybody who walked by, he was telling them what his Chicago American Giants were going to do to the Kansas City Monarchs. And, man, they were filling up the ballpark machine. And that never did happen. Our Monarchs were where they from.
Oh, that is so wonderful. You know, Bob, we could talk all day, but unfortunately we have a time limitation. And, I mean, it's so wonderful. I know you got a busy schedule coming up after 1 o'clock, but we so appreciate you coming on and sharing the moment. You got me excited.
So y'all got to invite me back.
We will. We will. And plus, when this virus is over, I want to come over to the museum and do some footage so I can bring it back and show the people in South Louisiana just how wonderful this product is.
Yeah, no, we will welcome that, Coach.
Okay.
It'd be great to see you again anyway.
All right, Bob. Thanks so much.
God, it's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
All right,
You're
bye-bye.
quite welcome. He is truly a lover of the game. It just exudes all out of his pores. We are overdue on our first break. Of course, if you're not going to do it for Bob Kendrick, who are you going to run long for? We'll get this out of the way. Still another megastar. And this one from right here in the capital city of Louisiana. That's coming up next on the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe & Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
hot spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. 11 weeks running now. Man, time sure flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
We ain't having enough fun, Clarence.
Well,
I really want to fly.
You can never have too much fun, right? We saw last week in the Southwestern Athletic Conference the first, for lack of a better word, defection from the 2021 spring football season. Alcorn State announcing that they are not going to suit up for spring football. Instead, they are going to focus all of their energies on keeping their athletes safe, all the folks involved with the football program there, and then focus on playing in the fall. Did that catch you off guard, any, Coach?
Not at all. I think it's smart on their part, to be honest with you. They probably didn't want to suffer the financial hit that it was going to bring with them for playing with 20%, 25% attendance.
Right.
Just the cost is not worth the reward.
Yeah. So that being said, when you're talking about a program like Alcorn State, and I was trying to remember in Lorman, their stadium holds what, around 20,000?
So if you put 25% or 20, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're not talking about a whole lot.
Yeah.
But now that being said, outside of Southern and Jackson State, because Jackson plays in War Memorial Stadium in Jackson, Southern in Mumford, for most of the schools in the conference, you're probably talking about that 20,000 range as far as stadium capacity is concerned. Do you think it's possible we're going to see more defections before the spring season actually gets underway?
Oh, nah, that's a good question. I hadn't looked at it that way. I'm thinking once they start, unless they're hit with a tremendous amount of COVID-19 cases,
right,
they may try to play it. That's a pretty good question. I don't know. In the beginning, I liked the idea of trying to play in the spring.
Right.
I think it's different. But unless we have control of this virus, I don't think we ought to take a chance,
Now,
because what are you playing for?
Yeah. Coach Dawson Odoms brought up a real interesting point. Coach Odoms questioned the fairness of this, meaning Alcorn State, by opting out of spring football, will not incur the injuries. They will be a lot fresher than their opponents because their opponents will be just coming off a spring ball. They'll get a quick exhale, and then they gear up for fall football, while Alcorn State has been kind of just kicking back, resting their guys, and getting ready for the fall season. Does that tilt the playing field any in Alcorn State's favor come fall football? Because they're going to be a whole lot fresher, not to mention they won't have any lingering injuries still around. Does it put them at an unfair advantage by opting out in the spring?
In a legal term, it's alleged. It's alleged that they'll have an advantage. I don't really know, Clarence. You're dealing with 17 to 23, 24-year-old young people.
Right.
They ought to be able to bounce back after 4 months of laying off. Injury is the one area that could be an issue.
Right.
But a lot of people get hurt in spring football practice. So, but spring football practice is not 10. What, they're playing 8 games? 8 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not 8 games.
Right.
It's not as competitive.
Right.
You have walkthroughs. You can stop and teach. But I really don't know because it's never been done before.
Yeah.
So Who am I, Clarence? You know more than me. Who am I
right.
to tell you about something that's never been done before?
Yeah.
But there is a perception that people will have an advantage if they don't play. I don't believe that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the mindset is right now of the average fan in the Southwestern Athletic Conference as it relates to spring football?
They rather see football. They hadn't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see it. They don't have much to do in the spring, especially if we got beautiful Saturdays, afternoon or night, whatever time they playing the games.
Right.
It's better than in the fall.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's better for them to enjoy. Now, I don't know if they're going to allow tailgating, which is just as big. I don't know if they're going to allow the bands, which is bigger.
Only the home team will have the band.
They don't like that.
And if it's a neutral site, no bands will be allowed.
See, they don't like that because they want to see them. So it's something. You win if you lose if you win, and you win if you win you still lose. I guess I'm not saying it right.
Yeah, I understand.
You can't win for losing.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't win. It's a no-win situation.
One thing that is showing some promise out of all of this is the fact that ESPN announced that on their various platforms, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPNU, they're going to carry 16 Southwestern Athletic Conference spring football games. That's huge, isn't it?
Well, that's see the trade-off? You get to have TV coverage.
Right.
There are football junkies all over the country.
Oh, yeah.
Or wherever ESPN goes.
All over the world.
They want to look at spring football.
Yeah.
And so they'll gain some customer. They'll gain some audience. So,
and that's not to mention this is publicity that HBCUs can't buy. They can't get this any other way.
You going to give them the money?
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is,
what you're talking about.
You can't buy that kind of publicity.
No, if you want it, you couldn't buy it.
No.
Now 16, that's a lot. So you got a lot of chance. Let's hope that the games are really competitive and good. Let's hope it's Southwestern Athletic Conference games the way they used to be.
Right.
A lot of offense,
right.
which people want to see.
That's what they want to see. Americans love scoring.
Yeah.
Of course, now it's also going to come at a time, and I'm one of those that's always been of the opinion, for Americans, you can never have too much football. This comes at a time where those that didn't get as much football as they wanted because of COVID this past fall, this gives you an opportunity to showcase a product that many other people would either, one, never be interested in giving you the time of day, or two, never had the access to be able to watch your product. So, I mean, to be on an ESPNU, an ESPN2, ESPN3, that is huge for the conference as far as getting their product out there for more people to see, right?
Yeah, I like that, really. It's really good in that respect. And it's, you know, you never know what you can do. If you put on a good performance, you help sell your product.
Yeah. And, of course, they are also going to carry the championship game as well. I mean, that's huge for the conference.
It is huge. And that should be a more competitive situation because allegedly you got the best from the MEAC and the best against the SWAC.
Yeah.
Which now make Jackson or EI Southern Grambling, the three teams that would be, in my opinion, could compete to represent the SWAC.
Yeah. The one thing I see as a small disadvantage is with Alcorn opting out, their huge in-state rivalry with Prime Time coming to Jackson State as the head coach now. I know there are folks in Lorman, Mississippi and in Jackson, Mississippi that are salivating at the opportunity for these two, for Coach McNair and Coach Primetime, to get together and match wits on the gridiron. Is that something, and my heart tells me I know the answer, that'll keep for a little while, just the anticipation of that happening. So this Alcorn opting out right now, won't do a whole lot of damage to that potential rivalry.
Because you don't have to wait a whole next year.
True.
It'll be right in the spring, in the fall.
In the fall.
So you're not waiting. I think it's really good. I really think it gets it a chance to build.
Yeah.
To build up to something.
And if you play your cards right, Primetime being the salesman that he is, you can hype this thing all the way through spring football to get ready for the fall. I mean, I can see Primetime with his hat turned around, Jackson State, this is what y'all gonna get in the fall, and the excitement just builds and builds and builds. So, you know, if you play your cards right, you might could come out better than you ever anticipated with the build-up time and the anticipation looking down the road.
I got you. You're right.
Yeah, but, of course, only time will tell in that regard. We are coming up on another break, but when we come back, we're going to have the opportunity to spend some time with the guy that may well be the guy that more people know that are watching right now, but don't know they don't know. I know it sounds crazy. You have seen this guy's work all over the place. He is as unsung a hero as you will ever encounter. The guy has won 5 Emmys in his professional life, and may well win some more before all is said and done. And if you've ever turned on CBS Sports during football season and watched an SEC game, if you've watched the Final Four, if you've watched any number of nationally broadcast championship events on CBS Sports, more than likely the guy out in the truck, you know, where you see all the hundreds, if not thousands, of switches for cameras and microphones and talent and commercials and all of this, the guy running the whole shooting match is a local boy from right here in the capital city of Baton Rouge. We'll get this break out of the way, and when we come back, you're going to have to stick around to find out exactly who we're talking about. All right, I'll tell you, it's Mark Grant. Everybody knows him, everybody loves him, but you know his work more than anything else. He's up next on Week 11 of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
It's not Mark Grant.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are 2 busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And, of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Break out of the chaos.
Welcome back to week 11 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. We told you in the last segment that coming up, we were so very looking forward to this segment because we've got a guy that has agreed to give us some of his very valuable time today, that more people are probably familiar with his work than maybe anybody else in the city of Baton Rouge. You're familiar with the work, but most times you don't know that it's him actually doing the work. I'll give you a hint. When you find yourself watching your favorite SEC sporting event, and you've all seen shots of what we call in this business, quote, the truck, where there's a console set out with hundreds of buttons and close to 100 different cameras and microphones and commercials. There's a shot right there. You see the guy sitting there directing the whole shebang. That's the guy that you're hollering at your brand new 55-inch QLED. Show me the replay. Show me the freaking replay. Give me another angle. That's the guy that you're hollering at through the TV that has no clue who you are. Well, at the level that we're talking about, the SEC, NC2A Final Fours, there is a guy that you have watched him work countless Saturdays and countless championship events. And we are so proud to claim him as one of our own. Coach, if you would, introduce your next guest.
Yeah, he's my friend, Mark Grant. You didn't mention that he's the only African-American to do NFL in the profession he is in that does NFL games. So Mark and I met several years ago when I was coaching at Southern, and he was producing some of my games. And we developed a wonderful relationship from there. So Mark, come on in. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Clarence had that introduction. I hate to think sometimes about the people who are yelling and screaming at me when the game's going on. They want to see the replay, or they want to see the coach, or they want to see, the reaction or whatever. And it's a lot of pressure on me to try to keep those people happy. But I love what I do.
I know. I don't know why Clarence. I don't know why he said 55-inch. It's 75-inch. Yeah, but no, you do a really good job. And the thing is that one of the things I remember, you were one of the first people to mic me up in the coaching box. Tell me why you did that, how you came about.
Well, I just really felt like, it's a great way to bring the viewer closer to the field and feel a much more a part of the game by hearing some of the strategy and the discussions that are going on. Whether you're going out to the mound to talk to a pitcher, or you're talking to a batter as you're trying to come up to the plate in a crucial situation, I think we all want to know what's that coach saying right then and there, and to have a coach who's willing to, make that a part of the live broadcast. Not everybody wants to do that. I just think it really makes the sport even more special, and so I thank you for allowing us to do that. I think people were really treated to see the inner workings of coaching by putting the microphone on you.
Well, and I know there are coaches who would never come close to that, but I was never afraid of me being human. And what I mean by that, even making mistakes, because again, we are trying to, you as the producer, I'm as the coach, we both have to work together to sell a product. We're trying to sell the game of baseball and get more people interested in it. Would you agree?
I totally agree with that. And I think it's a perfect platform to do that. It's a perfect platform to people to really get to know you better by hearing you, and it lets the viewers understand the game better, and they want to know how you're going to pitch this. How do you want to pitch this guy? The cleanup hitter's coming up in a crucial situation, and we never hear that. We never hear that discussion until after the game. Sometimes after the game, but to hear it right then on the spot, and then to have the pitcher go out there and execute, I think it's just great. I wish more coaches would do it, but they just don't.
Mark, you're a guy that has reached the absolute pinnacle in national success in what you do. But your childhood here in Baton Rouge was chocked full of challenges. Why didn't you give up or succumb to the negative influences?
Yeah, you know, I had a challenging childhood. Both of my parents became alcoholics, and it was, you know, it was tough to deal with that. My father left me when I was 15 years old. That was tough. I saw what addiction did in my family, and I was always afraid to try some of the things that my parents did with the alcohol, and you know, I never wanted to do drugs because I was afraid I was going to become addicted as well. And I never really wanted to see that. I never wanted to be like that. I never wanted that to, you know, be how I'd be remembered. And so I always away from it, and here I am now. I'm 61 years old. I've never been drunk. I've never smoked a joint. You know, I've never taken any pills other than prescription pills. And, you know, I've been able to do without it. And, you know, I know that a lot of people haven't been able to do without it. They, you know, they get hooked, and I was just afraid I'd be one of those people. And I saw how it ruined my parents, and I didn't want it to ruin me as well.
You know, I'm gonna rattle off some names for you. And as a guy that was starting out in the business, and I mean this in the most loving way possible, I looked at you guys like y'all were God himself. Mark Grant, Ed Buggs, Al Eastman, Abe McGull, Sailor Jackson, Huel Perkins, Chipper. Did you have any idea of the magnitude of what you guys were doing at the time, or was it simply a matter of just trying to learn your craft and be the best that you can be?
Well, those guys were a little bit before me, but there were certainly pillars, especially in Baton Rouge, in terms of, you know, a lot of them were, you know, news photographers and went on to do great things. They even formed their own company called Saga Communications.
Yep.
Sailor, Al,
Greg, and Abe.
And went on to do great things. And yeah, I was right there behind them. And no, I don't think at the time that we knew what we were headed for. And I think that they motivated me to be great as well and try to be, you know, not just good, but to be great. They put out some very, very high level, high quality products. All of them went on to do great things, you know, outside of the local market. I know Al Eastman, I see him sometimes. He was a cameraman, a photographer for NFL Films for a long time.
Yep.
Abe has gone on to be a lawyer in Missouri.
Huel Perkins up in Detroit.
Huel Perkins was, you know, I mean, he was a leader in news in Baton Rouge, and you know, his father was a fine man as well, and they just really, really set the standard for what we all wanted to be like. And if we felt like if we could do it at the level that they're doing at, then maybe we're on the right track. And it's because of people like that I got to where I'm at. And I chose a different route than them because I wanted to be, you know, in the truck, calling the shots, directing the game. I was a cameraman for a while, but I wanted to be a director. I wanted to be the leader, the head of the show. And but it was because of guys like that gave me the belief that I could do it as well.
You know, you look, Mark, and you, I'm sure, are as aware, if not more so, because of your national exposure and interaction with people. But in our country today, there's a lot of consternation about whether or not America is, in fact, the great country that many of us like to think that it is. Your story is probably one of the most vivid examples I can think of the American dream and the beauty of America and what it holds. Am I overstating your life story and its connection to the American dream?
Well, you know, I make it sound like they ought to make it into a movie. I'm not sure if they should. But,
hey, you could direct it.
I do feel blessed to be where I'm at in my career and to have made it to the level I have. It's taken a lot of hard work it's also taken a lot of, being in the right place at the right time. And, sometimes people wanted to shut the door. They didn't want you to they didn't want to work with the black director. And they didn't want you part of the show. And I can remember early in my career where I would go places and direct games and people wouldn't know who I was. They would just kind of dismiss me until they found out I was a director. Or, people would have on David Duke for President T-shirts and I got to work with that person.
Right.
And it was a challenge. It was a challenge growing up. But I think that what they say doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I think that I wouldn't change anything that anything that's happened to me happened for a reason, and it's made me who I am today. And if I had taken an easier path, I may not appreciate the journey. If the path was too hard, I might have given up. But it was just right for me, and so I'm very happy with what's happened in my career.
Of all the awards, I think at last count I saw you had earned 5 Emmys and God knows how many other national awards and accolades. Which ones, if any, are you most proud of? And is there one that you think or feel is most improbable, that Mark Grant said to himself, man, I'll never win anything like this, and lo and behold, now you have it?
Yeah, I think anytime you win an Emmy Award, it's a really, really, prestigious award. To have 5 of them it's a lot of hard work, but it's not you don't just get it by yourself. You get it with great crew, you get it with great announcers. Mm-hmm. It takes a whole team to win the Emmy Award. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that last year I directed a football game, and it was the first time that they had a black producer, a black director, and a black executive producer do an NFL game together in the history of the NFL. Wow. Now, the NFL's been going on for over 100 years,
right? And
yet now it was the first time that they had the 3 lead positions on the production side. The producer, the director, the executive producer were all black calling the shots. It had never happened before, and I always hoped that would happen sometime in my career. I wasn't confident that it would, but it did, and I think that when I walk away from the business, that's the thing that I'm going to be most proud of. Like I would trade in the Emmys, I would trade in the ACE Awards I wanted for doing stuff in cable. I traded all the accolades I've gotten just to say, you know what, I made a difference and opened the door for other people that may want to do this better, people of color.
You mentioned the business, quote unquote. How has it changed the most over all your years of directing, Mark?
Yeah, I think that the first thing is that, it was way back when I first started in this business in the early 80s. Mm-hmm. Everybody had these little Sony Trinitron TVs in their house, and they were 15 inches, 17 inches, maybe 19.
Right.
25. You had this big old thing that was a 25-inch TV, right. And as viewers' demands grew and technology grew, and we, as Coach Cador said, we have these 75-inch TVs now, and you put the 55-inch TV in your kitchen, right? That's the long TV in your house now, and so people see sports differently now. They don't just see, when you cover football, we used to focus on the offensive line, the defensive line, the quarterback, and the running back. Now, when you cover a game, you want to see all 11 players on each side of the ball when the ball is snapped, because you want to see what the quarterback's doing, and the safety's doing, and the wide receiver, what he's doing. And so we cover the game a lot differently now than we used to. And the same is true in college basketball. Now, you're not so tight. Everything's not so tight and intimate anymore. Now you can be a little bit wider. You can see all the 10 players. You can see screens being set away from the ball and see how they move the ball around and get that player open with the screen and the passing involved and all that. And for a long time, it was just, you have a tight shot and you follow the ball and you follow the ball and you follow the ball and everything's tight. And if the ball hits the rim and it bounces way out, right, you can't recover because you're too tight. And now we don't have those issues anymore. I also think that the competition is so great now in what we do, especially in network television. We spend millions and millions and billions of dollars in rights fees to cover the NFL and to cover college basketball and to do the tournament and to do the Masters and all the things that we do. And everybody's looking at us saying, we're looking at everybody else saying, what can we do to be better than them? And people are saying, what can we do to be better than CBS? And so you're always trying to improve your product and make it as good as it can possibly be, because you know the minute you get the new thing, whatever the new thing is, and it's successful, everybody's going to get it. So you got to go on to the next new thing, and then the next new thing, and the next new thing. And so we're always demoing new toys and new technology, and all of it is to really service the viewer, because we want the viewer to be happy. Because sometimes in this video game age that we live in, they design these video games to, and these video games look like real games on TV, especially football, sports games. They look like like real NFL games on TV, and we've had to adapt some of that same strategy, some of that same philosophy. Not only they're doing it in video games, but we have to do it on our NFL coverage now, because people want to see more graphics, more information. They want to see this, they want to see that, and so it's always evolving. It never just gets stagnated. Once if we're doing games, 3 years from now, the way we did it this year, we're going to be in deep trouble. Someone's going to replace the people who are just stagnant, or the technology's reached the point where it can't evolve. But I don't think that's going to happen ever. With Coach, with baseball, they always come out with a better baseball bat, and a better baseball, and a better this, and a better that. And when you play golf, you buy a brand new golf club, they've already got the new model out for next year, because that one's going to be outdated. And I think that's what's true in our business as well. There's always something right around the corner that people are just waiting, so that they can just give it to the viewer, and when the viewer wants it, then we have to give it to them.
Well, Mark, I tell you, we could go on and on and on, but we're against the clock. The clock is telling us, cut Mark off. I don't want to do that. But listen, we enjoyed everything, and we hope to get you back on before you get on the road again in the fall, and talk a little more with you. We really appreciate it, okay?
All right, Clarence and Coach, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, Mark. It's all ours. Thank you, Mark. He is the epitome of the American dream.
Yes.
2 alcoholic parents, and he decided right then and there, I'm not going down that road. And if there was a young man that could have succumbed to the woe is me syndrome and given up and not exploited his full potential, it would be Mark Grant. But he is just the exact opposite. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal man, and phenomenal person.
There you go. He's a wonderful person.
Sure is. Sure is. It has been our pleasure to spend a little time with you today. Hopefully Bob Kendrick and Mark Grant brought a little bit of a smile to your face today. Coach, you're setting the bar so high now. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep this thing up each and every week, but hopefully you all will tune in to see if we can pull off just such a feat. It is time for us to wrap up another edition of the Roger Cador Show. Week 11, man, these weeks are just flying by, and before you know it, be some spring football in the air. And of course now baseball is underway, right. Softball is underway, basketball still going on, all sorts of things happening. So on behalf of the guys out in the truck, Alan, Jonathan, floor producer extraordinaire, Marty, of course, he's Coach, I'm Clarence. We'll see you next week with another exciting edition of the Roger Cador Show. Till then, go Jags.